Hello.
Hi, Jacie.
How are ya?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm enjoying being in the same room.
I know. This is so weird. People can see our whole faces again.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
It's very exciting.
Yeah, we're on our way, hopefully, to getting back to normal.
Normal.
With the parentheses included.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we actually thought that would be a good topic for us to kind of talk about with people today.
Yeah, we were thinking it might be nice to kind of share what each of us got out of the last year and a half as far as positive takeaways and how to kind of keep that going as things pick up and get busier again.
Yeah, because there is a part of me, I must confess, like so excited, so happy to like start seeing some normalcy on the horizon, but I also feel my anxiety start to increase as I think about how busy things were and not necessarily wanting to go back to exactly the way they were before.
Yeah, and that's exactly how I feel as well. One thing that I've gleaned over the last little while is that as much as I'm a social person and I like being around people and I love to be in crowds, like a crowd with a good vibe, concerts, cannot wait. But I didn't realize how much I just said yes to every opportunity that was thrown at me.
Yeah.
And so that means if I would get a text on a Tuesday night from a bunch of friends who wanted to go for dinner, I would never say no to that.
Yeah.
And I realized I was kind of doing, like, I talk a lot about self-abandonment in general. That's like a big theme of mine. I was kind of leaving myself out in the dust, but always like dropping whatever my plan was to go hang out with people.
Yeah.
Even if my plan was to curl up on the couch and watch movies
or
read a book, I'd be like, oh, well, yeah, all I was doing was hanging out by myself. So of course I'll go hang out with you guys instead. But that increases my anxiety. And for me, it created this expectation neurologically that I had to always be stimulated by other people.
Mm-hmm.
And so then when I didn't have that, I would start to get anxious. So a big takeaway for me is that if I have a night that I'm planning to stay home and curl up on the couch and read a book, I keep that. Like it's as important for me to keep the commitments to myself for my alone time as it is for me to keep commitments to friends and family with plans.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's funny how we always flip kind of back into therapy mode. We can't help it when we're having these conversations.
I know.
But I think of like parts and like a part of you really got tended to that probably hadn't gotten a whole lot of attention before. And now it's saying, but don't forget about me now that we're getting back to normal.
And it's, since we're back in therapy mode anyway, I did a parts exercise with myself on that. And that part was literally saying, like, I'm scared you're going to forget about me again. That was the exact words that I got from it when I was doing that practice. And I was like, oh, honey, no, I got you.
Isn't it nice when we can talk to our parts so lovingly like that?
I was like, I promise I won't leave you behind. And she was like, okay.
I like you. I like hanging out with you rather than this person who's frantically running around trying to do everything for everyone. Because that's what I would say too. Like it's almost getting so far away now, it's hard to remember. But I remember when it first happened, right? Actually, someone and I were talking about it yesterday. Remember, it was like 2 weeks. We're just gonna hunker down for a couple of weeks, stay home, not go anywhere. It's been 2 weeks and 2 weeks and 2 weeks, and they've changed and evolved. But I remember feeling like this is so weird. Like it's making us realize how little we actually need a lot of the things we fill our days with. And I think that's important. I mean, I'm happy, and that's what we were saying when we started. Like it's nice to have the restrictions starting to lift a little and being able to be with our family and friends more freely. Yeah. But I want to weed through a little more carefully around where I want to start spending my energies and what things can stay off the list and how much do I really need. Like I got my shopping world got smaller. Like we always would go shopping in the States or go to Halifax and do some shopping. And it's like, you know what? All my basic needs were very perfectly happily met within a 10-mile radius of my home. So maybe I don't need to do as much as I thought I did.
Yeah. Shopping trips, I think, are a big one for people. Although I miss Martin's.
Yes, I am looking forward to being back in the US grocery stores. I love shopping in the grocery store in the US, but I'll take my time when it comes up. It'll come up. Yeah. And what about things like kind of getting back into crowds, or do you know, have you noticed any differences in how you feel about that?
So for me, I love crowds. Like I was saying, music festivals, concerts, anything live music related. I'm going to be so excited that I will probably like have to go do some deep breathing and ground myself, because I will be like crazy excited about it. But I have a lot of friends who are extremely anxious about it, where they're like, no, like they were okay with crowds before.
Yeah.
And having not been in them or not been exposed to it, they're now extremely anxious about the idea of crowds.
Yeah. I think I fall more into that category.
Yeah.
I never really liked being in a crowd to begin with, and I do think I'll feel a little more aware of that going forward. Back to those.
I had a friend share an experience where it was just one of the friends and family gatherings, but there was a lot of people there, and they just kind of didn't know what to do with themselves and ended up leaving about 30 minutes in. But I think for people who are experiencing that anxiety around crowds, almost create like an exposure plan for yourself, if that makes sense. It's like, look, we're going back into therapy. This was supposed to be like a personal opinion conversation, but like kind of check in with yourself and say, like, at what point does the anxiety kick in? Is it when I'm with 10 people? Is it when I'm with 20 people? And practice, even just walking into a building and then walking back out. Just slowly like reminding your nervous system that you're safe.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, like don't try and overwhelm yourself by going to a concert like I'm gonna do. I'm gonna love it.
Yeah, but it's true, just kind of getting
baby steps.
Yeah, because I think now, you know, restaurants and places are getting back up to full capacity, which we've gotten really used to having a lot of space around us. I think we are going to notice that, so I think that is a good idea. Like just kind of gradually exposing yourself to situations where you are going to be exposed rather than jumping in. And I think there's probably a lot of us out there that don't necessarily know how we're going to react until we're in it. We might think we're totally okay, but we're going to walk into some new situations that we haven't been exposed to.
That's true. I'm really curious for myself to see what happens when I go to an airport.
Yeah, I know. I think of that too.
Because I'm a traveler. The year before COVID, I was not home for more than 3 weeks in a row. And I counted and I was on like 40 plus airplanes that year. And I loved airports. So I'm just so curious now. I haven't stepped foot in an airport in a year and a half. I have no idea what way it's going to go, but I'm fascinated to find out.
I feel the exact same way. Like I can't even imagine being at an airport because it's been so long. And like you, I used to do a fair bit of traveling before the pandemic hit, but it's going to be a very unusual experience to get back into the busy airports again. Exciting, but
I think we all just need to kind of remind ourselves that we don't necessarily know how we're going to react and give ourselves a little bit of grace. And just walk in and with curiosity. And be like, okay, how does this feel? Without any expectation.
And I was going to say, there's still some unknowns too. Like even as we kind of go through each phase and stage and new parameters around what we can do and what we can't do, like there's still some uncertainty about, you know, if somebody would have told me 6 months ago what today was going to look like, I probably would have been like, oh, really? And if someone tells me what 6 months from now it's going to look like, it's almost like that mindfulness, right? Like it's just kind of like being in the day I'm in and kind of navigating the space.
Exactly. Letting it be what it is. And
I know one of the things though that I am looking forward to, as much as masks have become part of our day-to-day grab the mask, although I'm going to tell a funny story about my mom, because last night I was talking to my mom on the phone and she was talking about she irons her masks. I was like, you iron your mask? And she was like, yes, you don't iron yours. So I was like, so I actually got to know if anyone else irons their masks. I mean the fabric.
That's obviously hilarious.
Yeah, I know. It's like
please tell us if you iron your masks.
But what I was gonna say is I do want to see people's faces and smiles, and you can tell the smiles, right? You can tell when someone's smiling under their glasses or under their mask, and I'm glad that we haven't stopped smiling. But there is something about just being connected to people's faces that I know is going to be really nice.
I said that to a friend the other night. That was the one thing I was most excited about with masks not being mandatory. And there's going to be loads of people who choose to still wear them, and that's obviously completely okay, whatever makes people comfortable, but I can't wait to see people's faces again.
It is really nice to start seeing and acknowledging that it's going to be another transition. And I think where we started with this conversation was there's parts of this that I don't think we want to abandon or let go completely as we transition into this next kind of phase. It's almost like a recovery phase. It's not that it's over, it's just kind of the post impact of everything we've collectively been through as a society. I think we're going to take some good things away from it, and I think we're going to miss some things about it.
And there will be some challenges going back into, I think might be difficult for people who have an expectation that they're going to feel the exact same way they did beforehand. And I guess I would just suggest to anyone who has any kind of significant expectation of what normal will feel like again, to just come at that with some curiosity and open-mindedness as well, because we don't know how we're going to react as things go forward. So be gentle.
Always be gentle. Be compassionate and patient with yourself and with others too, because I think that's the biggest thing probably the pandemic has taught us is we're not all the same, and we absolutely can and need to be respectful of where we are individually in this collective experience, because we're not all going to be on the same page at the same time.
Focus on your own comfort and what makes you feel safe and happy, and allow others to do the same thing for themselves.
I guess one little thing I just wanted to add before we close too is like any time of like crisis or situation, like witnessing the pandemic as something the whole world has experienced collectively, I think is really powerful when you see how we've kind of rallied together, and all the decisions that had to be made fairly quickly. Most of us have never experienced a pandemic before. I think it makes my heart warm to see like how we've managed to come through this. Right? Good or bad, we're getting through it together. And I think that says a lot about us as.
And that's the thing with humanity, like this is our generation's version of whatever the chaos is, right? But historically, like there's always been something that everyone's gotten through.
It'll go down in history.
Exactly.
As our challenge, and through I think everything we've ever been through in history, we do come out a little bit different, a little bit stronger, a little more knowledgeable. So it's cool. Awesome.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts.
Same to you.